Hi, this is Aaron Tomlinson from Conscious Spirituality, and today I want to talk about how I discovered the law of attraction. I want to thank you for joining me, and if you haven't subscribed to the podcast or the YouTube channel yet, I would encourage you to just go in and check out the content. If you like it, I would love to have you subscribe to the channel and be sure to hit that notification button so that you don't miss anything. And if you're subscribed and you haven't hit the notification button, maybe just go down and hit the notification button right now. I'm not as consistent making content as I want to be, as you know, if you've been a subscriber to this channel for any length of time. So you don't want to miss new content when I put it out. So it's just been in my heart this week to make some videos regarding the law of attraction and how it works, how to make it work, the how-to, the practical application of what we call the law of attraction, what I used to call faith, or we call manifesting, magic, whatever term you want to use, but the idea that we can make changes on the objective or to the objective universe, to the world around us, to our circumstances, and that our thoughts and our feelings and our intentions have an influence, and that we can cause things to happen simply by the application of will, desire, and belief, or through the application of our thoughts and feelings. So how did I get into this realm? So if you don't know anything about me, I was a Christian pastor for many years, raised in a Christian home, and started out in ministry, got my first job in Christian ministry at 18 years of age, and was very successful, did a lot of things, probably did everything anybody can do in the realm of Christian ministry for many years. And then I got in touch with my own religious trauma. I became a counselor and a therapist, and I went through this process that we call deconstruction. But so it may just be on people's minds, Aaron, how did you get into this thing called the law of attraction? Like, for me, it's not a fad. It's not just the latest thing. I'm not searching through YouTube, trying to find what are the best videos that I can put out there to increase my subscribership. I really don't want to get into all of that. I really do want to help create a network. I've had so many people who have reached out to me that feel alone in this process, that feel isolated. They don't have anyone in their lives that they can talk to about these kinds of things. They don't have anyone to mentor them or to coach them through these various processes who's been there before. And so I am looking to create a network, a place. I'm thinking about it. I'm taking suggestions about how we can create community online for people to connect and talk to each other and build relationships. I can honestly say, since the pandemic in 2020, that I have built some of the most rewarding, some of those valuable relationships I've ever had in my life with people that I've never even met in person, that I consider to be deep and good friends, but we only connect through these platforms. So I'm getting a little sidetracked from my original point. I just want to give a little bit of background on myself. Aaron, how did you get into these teachings? How did you get into the law of attraction? Well, it's quite simple. It started with actually the Bible. When I was pursuing Christianity, when I was pursuing my faith, I really wanted to be true to the Bible. I really wanted to be true to the scriptures. I didn't know a lot about the scriptures, but I wanted to be true to it. And I would read the book and I would see all this like miraculous stuff happening. I would see like all this supernatural stuff happening. And I'd had a few things that had happened to me when I was younger that indicate to me now that there was some intuitive gifting, some gifting about working with energy, psychic gifting, whatever you want to call it, spiritual gifting, whatever you want to call it. But I was really interested in finding out what are the secrets to making this stuff work. How do we tap into healings? How do we tap into miracles? How do we get our prayers answered? If we can't make our lives better today, what good is any of this stuff? And so really, it was out of some of the faith teachings in the Bible. Before I even knew there was a faith movement, before I'd ever listened to any word of faith teaching, I was reading the scriptures and came across Mark chapter 11, verses 22, 23, and 24. For those of you that don't know, Mark chapter 11, verse 22, Jesus says, have faith in God. For I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be thou removed and cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things which he says will come to pass, he will have whatever he says. And whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them and you will have them. Now, I'm sorry to my viewers and subscribers if I'm triggering you by quoting Bible passages, because I got a lot of people that reach out to me from this channel who have suffered, like me, from religious trauma, and that shit's horrifying, and it can definitely mess you up. I get it. So sincerely, but I'm just trying to talk about how I got into it. Like what I began to see there, especially the last part of that passage where Jesus said, what things you desire when you pray, believe that you have already received them and you will have them. So I began to apply just some of those basic principles and practices. I began to, instead of praying for things over and over and over again and trying to see how many people I could get to pray with me as though heaven is a democracy, and if we get enough people praying and get on enough prayer lists, we can get an answer to our prayers. Instead of doing that, I kept it to myself. And I understood also that it was going to be a process, that I wasn't always going to be effective, that there were going to be quote unquote faith failures out there. And then the second thing that really helped me was, it didn't take me long, just a few years, to figure out that everyone within my Christian circles, nobody could manifest anything. They could talk about healing, but they couldn't heal. They could talk about prosperity, but they were broke. They could, none of them were even really bearing what we might have called back then the fruit of the Spirit, just being a loving, good, kind person. It just wasn't a lot of that I could see in the circles. And so I ventured outside Christian circles. Used to have sort of this secret library at my house where I kept books, or I would go into places like the library or Barnes and Nobles, and I would check out books that were written, a lot of them at the turn of the century, a lot of them the New Thought authors, people like Neville Goddard, people like William Walter Atkinson. He's not as well known, but he's one of my favorites. And then success literature there too, with like Napoleon Hill and William James and other people. I started devouring that kind of stuff. I started reading books from Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza before, really, as far as I know, they were on anybody's radar. I remember reading books that Braden had written that, as far as I can tell, aren't even in print anymore, going all the way back to the late 90s and the early 2000s. And so I poured myself into sort of this Christian mystic, New Thought, success literature, and sort of this blending, like what Braden and Dispenza do, this sort of blending of spiritual traditions and technologies with science, this blending of science and spirituality. And through that process, I really did begin to uncover the secrets of making this stuff work and applying it over and over and over and over again in my life, until I pretty much mastered at least what, for me, I know will work and will generally get some results. So I just wanted to jump on, talk about how I got into this. And if you'd like to see more videos and content on making the law of attraction work, put it in the comments so that I know, or if there's other things, other topics that you'd like for me to cover. One of the things we want to do here on this channel is we want to bring you more interviews from more amazing people. We want to talk about various different spiritual traditions and paths that you can explore without having any kind of dogmatism. We want to create a place or an opportunity for people to network and connect. That will be coming in the future. So, but we want it to be non-dogmatic. We want it to be non-religious. Don't want it to be all focused on what I'm teaching. I think that should be the least of it when we get to that part of it. But just helping you to make sense of your world if you've deconstructed, if you're coming out of religious trauma, give you some principles that I think will improve your life and create a network where people can connect, and like-minded people who can't find anyone in their family or immediate circle, in their community or location, but to create that online community. So anyway, thank you all of you that have been reaching out, commenting on these videos, sharing these videos. Thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you next time.